Welcome to the Do What You Can Live With podcast. I'm Brandi Mac. Today is April 23rd, 24th? I don't even know. I figured I'd go ahead and throw one of these together. It's been a little bit. My health was really suffering. I don't think I really talked about this on any of the previous episodes, but for God, the last 6 to 8 months, overly fatigued, almost like severe depression, and multiple other symptoms. And I just overall didn't really feel like doing anything. In all honesty, I didn't feel like doing anything. And I thought maybe it was my hormones because I had a hysterectomy a year ago. But ultimately, I ended up finding out that my ferritin was extremely low. And I got my first iron infusion. I think it's been about 6 weeks now. And let me tell you, I feel so much better. So hopefully, I'll be able to get back on bringing you more of this. But God, quite a bit of things I've been up to lately. I just got back from Washington State, and that I had planned this trip even when I was feeling bad because I had said 2026 was going to be the year of real human connection for me and stepping out of my comfort zone because I can't really explain why, but I would say that I've definitely isolated myself. My health probably had a lot to do with it without realizing it. And then social media, I don't know. I used to like going out and hanging out with my old friends, and I just don't do that anymore. And so I'm really trying to connect in person with the speaking engagements, with just getting out there, because I can honestly say I love my online community, but it is very different when you get to hold someone's hand, and cry with them and hear their story and just connect. So that's kind of been my goal. And so I had organized this trip with a small group of ladies. The real Melissa is one who I had on for the podcast. I think that might have been the last episode I did. And Steffi, who I also interviewed, and then Jen, who goes by Diary of a Recovered Advocate. And these ladies I have stayed in contact with in the background, texting. We have like a little text group, and for me, I have to protect my mental health. I've been burned. I've been burned by people in the recovery space. And so I have purposely avoided connecting with people in the recovery space on a deeper level because for some reason people view me, and it makes me cringe, like almost like a celebrity, a gatekeeper, that they think I have all of these connections, and I don't. Everything I've done on my own. It's been without the assistance of anyone. I've learned how to do all of this, start a podcast, build my website, all of those things. I've done it on my own, and I could sure fucking use the help. Trust me. And so I'm very protective of my mental health and who I allow in my personal space, because there are people out there, as all of us know, that sometimes don't have the best intentions. But what I want to say is that I had booked this trip to Washington with these ladies, and it was amazing. It really was. We went out to Port Angeles. I had found this cabin. My biggest thing was I wanted a fucking hot tub. And these ladies are all on social media. They shared their story, what it's like. Melissa lost her daughter to an overdose, and Steffi, her son, is in recovery. I think she had posted today, 11 months, which is amazing, but she had shared before that and her raw truth. And then Jen is actually in recovery herself, and she has a daughter that is in active addiction, and she's so smart and amazing. And so I am getting to connect with women who understand how mentally unstable you are. And I think you guys know what I mean. How mentally unstable you are through this was pretty amazing. I can honestly say that because they know, they can relate. There's no feeling sorry for you. It's not a pity party. They get it. And that matters. I didn't really realize how much it matters, but it does, because when you go through something like this, whether you were impacted by addiction yourself or you are a loved one, it changes you. And I think it can change you for the better, which in my case it has, with growth. or it can change you for the worst. And I think so many people suffer alone in this. And it's a very lonely space to suffer alone. It's not just a normal like disease process where you still have your person. It's like you don't have them mentally there. No, it's chaotic. You're scared of losing them. You're scared of if you can't afford treatment or they don't have insurance or you don't have insurance, what are you going to do? What can you do to help them if they want it? Those are the times we live in because unless you're a lucky family that does have health insurance, maybe a nest egg. I don't know if anybody has that anymore. Then you have more options, but there are so many people that have no options. None. Doesn't seem fair, in my opinion. Being able to be with these ladies, God, there were some belly laughs, let me tell you. Lots. It was really beautiful. And I actually ended up, I'd asked them, I asked them if they would be interested if I was able to book a photographer. Would they be interested in chipping in and having a photographer come and kind of capture that moment? And we did just that. I haven't gotten to see pictures yet, but I'm really excited. And boy, did we laugh through that. And let me tell you, we were in the Pacific Northwest. And anybody who knows anything about that, especially on like the Seattle side, Port Angeles, Tacoma, it's cloudy, gloomy, rainy most of the time. Like Florida is always sunny, but out there it's kind of the opposite. And people, more or less love it. But you will get those occasional sunny days, beautiful days. And I couldn't believe it. We had all the days we were there, the sun was out. I had just could not. I was telling Melissa, I said, this is not the norm at all because she's from, the Chicago area. And I said, I know how beautiful this is. But it's not the norm. And so it was, gosh, I mean, the weather was absolutely beautiful. And so I'm very glad that I went on that trip and the ladies came and that it went as well as it did because you really never know when you put together different personalities that haven't met each other. Are they the real people online, right? Or is it going to be a shit show, a fucking disaster? Because God forbid you get a bad egg in the bunch, right? It can ruin that entire trip. And then some who maybe follow me on social media saw my video talking about that I don't want to place in the recovery space. And I can say as of now, I really don't. And there's multiple reasons why. And this is just me being real with you guys because just like how some of you may really like look up to me and like me and trust what I say, there are a lot of other people that you may look up to in some of these online groups, right? Like they have the best interest and they're offering you options, but there is a huge responsibility that goes with this community, an ethical responsibility. It's just being a good person and putting others, I feel like, in some ways before yourself. If you're truly wanting to advocate, it's different if you're just out there sharing your story, which in the beginning, it really was kind of about me and looking for a community, but it's not been that way for quite a while now. I've continued to share because I wanted people to know they weren't alone because I know there's not a lot of moms that do share. And it's crazy, like the amount of people that, our story has impacted their lives for the better. And so that is why I've continued on. It's one of the things I knew I wanted to do. Eventually, I'd kind of wanted to take a step back from social media. And that's just because I kind of got what I needed from it. And I figured I have probably talked about almost every subject imaginable on it. And I figured those videos are out there. People can find them when they search a topic. Usually, my video is going to end up coming up. And so, did I need to continue to talk? And what I wanted to do, I really wanted to help change the industry for the better, really push to have family programs and treatment centers that provide true guidance. And one of my thoughts was I wanted it to be based off of Do What You Can Live With and my book and what I've learned and what I continue to learn because it's raw truth and it's what I've learned that's evidence based and then the lived experience side. And so my goal was eventually maybe to try to build a program for treatment centers that could be provided to families because it's a joke what they do provide, most of them, with real guidance that is impactful and realistic and not shaming. But for me to do something like that and to go into those spaces, which anybody who knows me knows that I have a bad taste in my mouth about most of the rehab industry. I'm jaded. I mean, that's the reality of it. I've come around a lot. I do want to believe that there are good places out there, but I am absolutely jaded because I know it can be so much better. But I'm also jaded with the healthcare system as a whole. And I work in that side and I see it and how we're failing people and profit over patient. And it just disgusts me. And then I wanted to believe that there are other advocates out there, other moms have been harmed. I wanted to believe that they wanted the same thing, for it to be more ethical, for families to feel real support and the system change for the better. Other moms who wanted to not even just make it about the families, but improve it for their loved ones who are going, because we know that family guidance is like non-existent in this, but rehab in itself at a lot of these places, they're not providing good treatment because they want to move them through, put as many people in beds as they can. And they don't care if they cycle in over and over and over again, as long as they're getting paid. And it's not the people doing the hard work, the ones that are making barely over minimum wage, who really want to do good. It's always the hires up. Greed, power, and money, all of it destroys people. It does. And money's nice to have, without a doubt. I wish I had endless money and could travel the world and do exactly what I want. But I'd rather earn my money in an ethical way, knowing that I'm putting good out into the world. And sadly, the ones who really want to do good and provide true benefit and aren't doing profit over patient, they're barely making it or they end up closing. That's how broken it is. So it's a system that I think in some ways it almost forces people into unethical practices. And it's unfortunate. But when I wanted to enter this, you have to connect. That's the problem. You have to network, you have to connect. And I'm a little rough around the edges. I say what I say, and I say it with my full fucking chest, as you know. And I have been told repeatedly that I need to learn to play the game, just like politics, and I needed to tone down how I say things. And I did in some ways. I'll never stop cussing when I post content. But in those spaces, when I was in them and connecting, I would say I did tone down how I speak and my strong opinions about things. I'll still give them, but not with that punch, not with that Brandi Mac punch. And I just kind of felt like I wasn't me. And then seeing the ego, God, the ego of these people, other moms who have been in this space advocating for years, they hate me. They do. I don't know why. I'm not sure if it's because I built a following that they always wanted and they've been doing it for years. But I've always told people, you can do exactly what I'm doing. Just be true to your heart and be transparent and honest and speak truth, regardless of how you look doing so. But I think some of these moms, maybe older, I mean, I've had some, they request me, I don't know who the fuck these people are. I just want to say this. There are people in the advocacy side, just for like background context in this, people who they want to say, I did this, look at these changes, look at who I know. Yeah, fuck that. I don't give a shit who you fucking know, especially if you're a piece of shit in the end. If you are not aligned with doing fucking good and putting other people before yourself, you're a piece of shit. I'm sorry, you are. And in this space, what is your motive? It doesn't matter who you fucking know. I don't give a shit if you know the fucking governor. You have a responsibility. When people trust you, families trust you and respect you, there's enough people playing on that fucking desperation. As you can see, I'm heated. My blood boils over it. And I think people go into this work, I think they want to do right by families and they lose their fucking way. I think it's ego. I really do. Because on my personal Facebook, I started getting all these requests from people. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is. And I just let them sit there. Right. I mean, I don't want to be rude and deny. And so I'd go to their profile and I'd look and it'd be like, okay, advocacy work. That doesn't mean I'm going to add them. I'd let it sit. But then I'd start seeing maybe posts about them in some of these Facebook groups. And I'd be like, okay, I guess I'll let that person in. And worst case, I'll remove them. And so I did. I've let a few kind of trickle in the advocacy space for the connections. You know what the funny thing is, and I'm just like, and this is where I'm like, maybe I'm reading this wrong. I kept thinking I was getting tagged in a couple of posts, and it was some passive aggressive shit, and you could just tell this person had a real fucking issue with one, me being hip, apparently. That's, it. And being in this space, and there, it was just very passive aggressive, and it was very obvious that they wanted to connect with me, but it was obvious if they had an issue. I don't like using the word jealousy because I don't think there's anything to be jealous of when you're impacted by this. What the fuck are you going to be jealous of? Who wants to be impacted by this? Nobody. And if you're jealous of anyone in this space using their voice to try to improve it and educate, that's a you problem. And the best part is this. I love me some Jesus, okay? I may cuss. I would say that I try to do good and help people. But when people hide behind the word of Jesus and they plaster it all over like they're holier than thou, I have an issue with that because what you're doing really to me says otherwise. And, I hated high school. And we all know the mean girls. I hated it. I hated it. I hated how it made me feel. And that's exactly, it doesn't change when you become an adult. I'm sure many of you know that. They're still fucking cunts. Once a cunt, always a cunt. Well, I mean, I am. I call I know you guys probably don't like to see a next Tuesday word, but like I said, I'm going to be me. And these are people's lives on the line. These are people being harmed. And I'm going to tell you something that really got under my fucking skin. I won't say who the person is. Some who listen will probably know because I saw the interaction. But I'm going to speak this truth here because it's easier. And this is my safe space. And I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. But when you have somebody who has a Facebook group that has thousands of families, moms in particular, in there, and they trust you. And when I find out that that group will provide a list of treatment centers to loved ones, but one, they do it privately. That's a red flag for me. They don't just post a list of treatment centers. They do it privately. And then to find out that they're an interventionist on top of it, that was really shocking to me, considering this particular group, because that is interventionist practice. I should know. Anybody who knows the story, being burned by one, is they will keep their list of treatment centers that they work with private. And my thought, I'm not saying this is what that person is doing, but it makes me wonder because it's common. Is there some type of incentive? And that's why they're keeping it secret. Because people like me, I'd go look them up. I'd go look up every single one of those treatment centers because there are many who get incentives. But it's not a matter of somebody even providing treatment center lists that they recommend. What is an issue is when that same person is saying, this list is safe because I personally walked through it. So I know. And I'm like, that's a whole load of fucking bullshit. You cannot walk through any place and know that that is a good place because I can assure you, I've worked in enough fucking hospitals. When Jaco comes through, yeah, all of a sudden there's no drinks. All of a sudden charting is perfect. All of a sudden everything is, perfect, right? For that walkthrough. You hide the bad shit. It doesn't mean the care is good. I mean, come on. To be like, because you fucking walked through, that doesn't mean shit. There are places causing real fucking harm to families. You're not trained in all that billing. You're not trained in anything, but your ego has gotten in the way and it's irresponsible. It's extremely irresponsible. And for those who, the reason why is because ownership of treatment centers, one, it changes often. There is so much corruption in the industry. A place could be decent, like they actually could be decent. And then next thing you know, you could quote unquote vet them. It's almost impossible to do that. You could vet them, but then they change owners. And now there's this really unethical owner and things change, but you don't know it. And so you still have people who are sending their loved ones there and then harm is caused. That's why I wanted to do the same thing because I was so naive in this before I really learned how messed up it can be. I wanted more than anything to be able to provide a list for loved ones of ethical treatment facilities, and I don't think I will ever be able to do that. And the big reason why is because I could never live with myself if harm was caused. Because every time you send your loved one to a treatment center, there's a risk because you really don't know. And word of mouth is absolutely important, but word of mouth from an interventionist, from even like a social media influencer, from me, no, don't. Word of mouth from someone you personally know, which I know is impossible. Some may be lucky enough that can say, yeah, my person had a good experience here. It could still end up being a bad experience for you or your loved one. I mean, it is what it is. A facility can check all the right boxes and they be there and them still be unethical and cause harm. That's what happened to my daughter. The last place she went to checked all the right boxes. But I think it is completely irresponsible, one, to claim like you're God's. To me, that's God mentality, acting like because you walked through it, it's valid. No, it's not. It's irresponsible of you. And especially considering that person was a mom impacted by this in a great way. I don't understand it. And I will not move forward in trying to change things and integrate into these spaces if that's what I have to deal with. I don't want that drama. I got enough drama in my life. I don't need that shit. And it's hard to know who the good ones are, who the bad ones are sometimes. And because when you have any type of influence, people, unfortunately, they do want a piece of you, but then they want to change you. I'm not going to change. I'll change if it's for the positive. I'm not going to change because somebody wants me to tone it down or they don't like how I am or how I say things. The truth is the truth. That's who I am. And I also will own my fuck ups. I'm the first. If I say something out of line, I will apologize for it. If I'm wrong, if I say something that maybe I get wrong, right? It's bound to happen. It's going to happen. It has, I'm sure. I will say, you know what? You're right. I looked into it. I was wrong. And it has nothing to do with a difference of opinion. I just don't get how people can sell their soul, especially in this area, especially when they know how painful it is. So something I had wanted to do, just being transparent and talking about this. I've been told several times that I should build a curriculum for families based off of my book and charge for it. And I could charge a lot because as detailed as I am, I could build something. Every time I have started, and I've had it halfway done, I've stopped. And it's because I can't bring myself to charge families for something not everyone can afford. Is it wrong if I was to charge? No, I know that. But everything I have wanted to do on my own, because I have endless ideas that I know could really help you guys. But I don't have a team. And without making money doing this stuff, it's not like I could hire a team to do it. It would be me bringing in investors. I don't want to do that because then they get a level of control. It would be, me teaming up with an organization that would want to control me. And potentially, you never know, that organization I could later find out was doing some really shady shit. So I have continued to do things on my own because I've wanted to have groups for you guys, online groups hosted. I've had people say, oh, I should do coaching. And I thought about it. I even have liability insurance. I have filed for the trademark for Do What You Can Live With, but I was trying to find a way to be able to match my salary and some that I have in my full-time career. How would it be possible for me to do that so I could focus solely on helping families in this arena? I don't think it'll be possible unless I sold out. I don't want to do coaching one-on-one. I had decided that. I know so many of you ask, and I came close. I really did come close to doing it. I think I would be really good at it. But the thing is that this is very heavy, and I know I want to help masses. And I worry if I was to do one-on-one, I would be less inclined to go about exploring other things that would help a lot of people at one time. There are plenty of other people who are really good at doing that in their space. That is not my lane. And I recognize that. But I know this is probably not an episode you guys were expecting. But sometimes I just need to get things off my chest and speak my truth. Not every person online is deserving of trust. Remember that. And to people who team up with some of these advocacy people, and because if you scratch their back, they'll scratch yours. It's not worth it. If it doesn't feel right, or you feel like you're giving more than receiving, it's not worth it. You got to find a way to know your value because There are so many great people I have met that do. They want to do good. They want to do good work. Good people in these spaces do a lot of this fucking work for free. A lot of the hard work, true advocacy, they're not getting paid for it. Or if they are, they're getting paid very small amounts. A lot of people working behind the scenes and they really want to help others. As with anything, it can be an ugly space. And so if I'm only ever known as the mom who shared her pain, her grief, her craziness, my family story online with a sprinkle of, I wrote a book talking about it, I'm okay with that. I am. I really am, because I really do believe if it can save one person, that's made it worth it. But so, yeah, I think I will leave you guys with that bitch fest. I think next episode, I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably talk some about some of the stuff RFK has been saying. I was going to put it in this, but this episode is already long enough. But in regards to rehabs and some of his ideas and concepts, go a little more in depth. I kind of made a video talking about it, but in regards to some of the ideas that have come out, which sound great and have potential because it's thinking kind of outside of the box, but it's not enough. And what I think is really needed and address that. But if you guys like this episode, please like, follow, subscribe. I'll have my social links in the description. And just know I appreciate each of you. If you're hurting, you're in the thick of it, loving someone, I know how much it sucks. I do. And just know, remember, as I can't say it enough, you're not alone. There are so many who are hurting too. Okay. All right, you guys. Until next time. Love you. Bye.